Some endings don't come with shouting, just a quiet sentence that changes everything. It happened on a Sunday. She walked into the room with that tight expression I'd started seeing more often, like everything I did somehow took up too much space. I thought she was coming in to ask about dinner or maybe remind me of something I forgot to do. Instead, she said, "I want a divorce." No build-up, no drama, just those 5 words, sharp and flat like a slam drawer. I looked up from my laptop, where I just wrapped a contract worth more than her annual salary, and blinked once. "Okay," I said. That's all I said. She seemed almost annoyed I didn't argue, like she wanted a fight to justify what she already decided. "I can't live like this anymore," she added, pacing now. "You have no drive. You sit in front of that screen all day, and what do you even do? Nothing ever changes. You're just stagnant." Stagnant. The word hit harder than I expected, not because it was true, but because she believed it. She had no idea I'd quietly build a 6-figure freelance business. No clue I was managing portfolios for private clients, building back-end systems for fintech startups, and earning more in a week than she assumed I made in a month. But I never flaunted it. Never needed to. And now I was being thrown out of my own life for not looking like I'd succeeded. She mistook my quiet for complacency. "I want more," she said. "And I can't get that with you." I stood up, nodded once, and walked past her. Not to beg. Not to explain. Just to breathe. I didn't cry. Didn't shout. Just packed a bag with a few things I'd actually paid for, which, to be honest, was everything in that house. But I left it all behind. Not because I lost. Because I didn't need it. And something deep inside me whispered, "Let her go, she never saw you clearly anyway." You don't always catch betrayal in the act. Sometimes, you just watch it unfold in plain sight. Even before the papers were signed, I started noticing patterns. Her phone never left her hand. She laughed harder at texts than she ever did at anything I said. She stayed out later, dressed up more, and made excuses that were so thin I didn't even need to question them. I didn't ask. I didn't accuse. I observed. The name that came up more than once? Marcus. My best friend for the last 8 years. The guy who helped me move into our first apartment. The one who gave the toast at our wedding. The one who always had something slick to say about how lucky I was to have her. I remember the night it clicked. She walked in at 10:37 p.m., perfume trailing behind her like an alibi. I asked, "Did you see Marcus tonight?" She froze for just a second, long enough. Then she laughed, too quickly. "Don't be weird." I nodded. Didn't press. What was I going to say? That I knew she was slipping away from me and into someone else's arms? That I knew Marcus, with all his charm and borrowed confidence, had finally decided I wasn't impressive enough to keep what he couldn't have? No. I let them have it. Let them believe they were clever. Let them think I was blind. Because I didn't need to chase the truth. The truth always circles back, and it never misses. I kept my head down. Kept working. Kept building. Took on another project. Invested in a new venture. Doubled one of my accounts. Paid off my car. Paid off hers too, actually. And every night, I sat in that same chair, typing into the same screen, while she convinced herself she was upgrading. I didn't lose her. She gave herself away. And as for Marcus, I already knew what kind of man he was. The kind who only feels big when he stands on top of someone who's not looking. Some people think they've won the game, not realizing they were never playing on the same board. She asked me to leave. Not yelled. Not pleaded. Just said it, like it was the final move in a long-planned exit strategy. "You should go," she said. "It's easier this way." I didn't argue. I didn't mention that the house was in my name, or that every piece of furniture she now claimed was something I bought. She assumed the silence meant agreement. But it wasn't that. It was detachment. I packed 2 suitcases, my laptop bag, and the watch my grandfather gave me before he passed. That was it. She barely looked up from her phone as I walked out the door. Marcus must have been waiting. I moved into a quiet apartment downtown. Not flashy, but clean, modern, efficient, everything I needed and nothing I didn't. From the outside, it probably looked like I'd been kicked down, like I was starting over. That's what she thought, anyway. And maybe that's what Marcus told her, too. But what they didn't know was that this little one-bedroom had a view of the skyline and a high-speed connection that powered contracts worth more than the car she now drove, also mine, technically. They'd won the facade. I kept the foundation. I spent my evenings working, reading, reinvesting. While they posted filtered photos and empty captions, I was laying bricks on something real. No one clapped. No one congratulated me. But in the quiet, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. direction. She thought I left with nothing. She thought I was defeated. But I wasn't moving backward. I was stepping out of her shadow and into my own light. The courtroom wasn't where I lost anything. It's where I confirmed how little they understood what I had. The divorce hearing was more theater than law. She showed up in a beige blazer like it was a job interview. Marcus sat a few rows back, trying to blend in. But you don't blend when the betrayal is still fresh, no matter how polished your shoes are. She requested alimony, half of our savings, said I'd been emotionally distant and financially opaque. Her lawyer painted me as unstable, said she had no insight into my finances, that she sacrificed years for a man with no ambition. I let them talk. I didn't flinch, didn't interrupt, because I knew what was coming. My attorney handed over our financial disclosure. One checking account, publicly visible, 30 grand sitting there, clean, traceable, taxed. She smiled. She thought that was it, that I'd been hiding pennies. She didn't know about the holding companies, the diversified accounts, the assets under my LLC, my crypto investments, my silent partnership in 2 SaaS startups. She hadn't seen any of that because I never put her name on any of it. It wasn't secrecy. It was protection, long before I knew I'd need it. She took the 30 grand like it was a prize. I handed over the keys to the house without ceremony. She strutted out of court like someone who'd just outmaneuvered a fool. But I wasn't broken. I was clean. And walking out of that courthouse, no debt, no leash, no one standing behind me waiting for my next move, felt like breathing real air for the first time in years. Let them celebrate. Let them post photos and sip wine and toast to their fresh start. They thought they saw the full story, but the real story was only just beginning. Some people seek revenge. I built a life so good it didn't leave space for any. 6 months passed. I moved into a high-rise apartment in the business district. Floor-to-ceiling windows, clean lines, a kitchen I actually wanted to cook in. I bought a new car, nothing flashy, just fast enough to remind me I was moving forward. My income passed $300,000 a year. Freelance contracts turned into long-term retainers. Clients referred me before I even asked. My work spoke louder than I ever had. No titles, no corporate ladder, just results, and people who respected them. I hired 2 contractors to help with overflow. Launched a digital product. Started advising early-stage startups on weekends. Not for the money, for the challenge. While they were still figuring out how to decorate the house I left, I was sitting on balcony rooftops sipping espresso with people who saw me. I didn't date. Not yet. Not because I was closed off, but because, for the first time, I didn't need someone else to feel whole. The silence was no longer punishment. It was space. To grow. To rest. To rebuild. And then the messages started. A mutual friend sent a text. Hey, I heard they're not doing well. Financial trouble. Fights. Marcus lost his job. I didn't ask for details. Didn't gloat. I just took another call from a client in Zurich and closed a deal from my kitchen table. That night, I stood in front of the mirror. Not to admire. Not to mourn. Just to recognize myself. Not the version she saw. The one she never did. But me. The man who was still standing. Still growing. And finally free. When they come back, it's not because they've changed. It's because they thought you hadn't. It started with a short message. Hey, can we talk? No name. But I knew. I let it sit. 3 days later, a new message. Longer, more familiar in its desperation. Look, I know things didn't end well. But I'm in a tough spot. I just need a little help. Just enough to get us through the month. Us. Marcus and her. Still together. Still unraveling. I didn't reply. Then came the third message. No more pleasantries. After everything I gave you, this is how you treat me? Cold. Selfish. You changed. No, I didn't change. I just stopped shrinking. I showed the message to my attorney. For documentation. No drama. No threats. Just boundaries. And still, part of me remembered the woman I once loved. The mornings we used to share coffee, the road trips, the quiet evenings. I didn't erase those memories. I just stopped mistaking them for permission to reopen a door I'd locked for a reason. A week later, Marcus messaged me too. Man to man, we need some help. You've got it. We don't. That was the truest sentence he'd ever sent me. I didn't answer him either. I wasn't angry. I was done. Instead, I focused on building. Moved into a new workspace. Signed another long-term deal. Traveled for a speaking engagement in Seattle. Booked the room with the view. Every time my phone lit up with their names, I felt nothing. Not revenge. Not satisfaction. Just confirmation. They didn't leave me behind. They lost someone who never needed to prove his worth in noise. I didn't slam the door shut. I just never opened it again. Some endings don't come with applause, just the calm of knowing you were right to walk away. It happened on a rainy Thursday outside a bookstore. I was grabbing coffee between meetings when I heard a familiar voice behind me, cautious, thinner than I remembered. I turned. There she was. Older, somehow. Not in age, but in energy. The kind of tired you don't get from work or lack of sleep, the kind that sinks in when the life you thought you were building caves under its own weight. Her eyes widened, like she wasn't sure if she should smile or look away. I saved her the decision. Hey, I said, calm, neutral. She blinked, caught off guard by how unshaken I was. You look different, she said. I feel different. A pause. Then, I heard about your success. I know. Another silence. Longer this time. I made mistakes, she finally said. I did too, I replied. I waited too long to stop letting other people define me. She looked down, then back at me, as if searching for something sympathy, maybe. Nostalgia. A spark that could undo the distance between us. But I wasn't holding anger. I wasn't holding anything. Just peace. Well, she said, forcing a half smile. I hope you're happy. I am, I said. I genuinely hope you find that too. And with that, I nodded politely, turned, and walked back into the rain. No music played. No cinematic glance over the shoulder. Just me, a coffee, and a full schedule of meetings I was proud to attend. That night, I sat on my balcony, city lights flickering below. I opened my laptop, checked my accounts, and smiled. Not because of the numbers. Because I remembered where I started. And now? Now I live in a life I built myself, quiet, strong, and free of apology. She once said I had no ambition. She just didn't see the kind that grows in silence.